Hello
Good
again,
to see you,
Tim.
Glamis.
Good to see you as always. My voice cracked a little. I don't know why.
So
But
for today, I have a topic that might also help me to get to know you better.
okay.
And so the question I have is, should you try and fit in, or should you be yourself and see where you fit? And to answer that question, I would like to know, how were you in high school?
I think so. High school, because we don't have the high school system. We go by primary school, secondary school. How old is high school again? If I'm not wrong, 14 to 18. Am I right?
Yeah, that seems right. Got my permit freshman year.
Yeah, I think for 14 to 18. If my understanding of the US education system still serves me correctly. We have school from 13 to 16, we are in a particular school, then 17 and 18, you are in a different school. So I'm just gonna go by the ages. I was completely different from when I was 14, 13 and 14. I was completely different from who you know me as now. I was so bad in school, flunked almost everything in my exams. I skipped school a lot that I almost got kicked out of the school that I was in. My grades were so bad, together with 16 other people in my school, that they had to open a new class the following year just for us, and they didn't kick us out. We were so close to getting kicked out, but 17 of us had such poor grades, they opened a separate class just for us without kicking us out. And then 15 years old onwards, I turned around and pretty much is who you know I am right now.
What changed?
So I think it ties in really nicely with the topic that we wanted to talk about today. When I was 13 and 14, right, I was just what they would call in Chinese they call it 小混混, which you like I would say maybe like a little. It's not like a hooligan where you are in a gang or you do bad things, but you like a rascal, I guess. You are up to no you're not serious with school. We hung around at the playground and at the void deck just playing games with my friends. Like it could be card games, it could be playing like futsal, like street soccer, which I was terrible at, but I just hung out there with them, with this group of people that just wasn't serious about their future, and being a general nuisance there in the neighborhood. In fact, let's say I was 13, one of the guy in our group, he was 27 without a job, still living under the care of his grandparents. He just didn't care. He just gets money from his grandparents. So I was in that kind of company for a long time. And
So you were like a bad boy jock rebellion.
yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, you did not know that about me, right? That side of me. I almost got kicked out of school. Yeah. So what changed was this, I think I shared with you. I have this mentor. He's basically like a godfather to me. He's my primary school teacher, a science teacher, and the story I heard from him was, back then he contacted me out of the blue. Like he just, hey Glamis, you want to come out for dinner? So he brought me and a few other students that was together with us in the same class out for dinner, just being like a friend, because he'll bring us for movies, out for dinner, and make sure that we got back home. But slowly it became a weekly thing. And as we do that, every time we talk, he will ask us about, oh, what are our dreams? What do we want to do? How are you going to achieve it? What's your plan to achieve it? And he just counsel and mentor me. My grades were low, so even though I had lofty dreams, I was just saying these things. I was just saying it. I had no plan of action. I didn't do anything about it. All I care about was just to fit in, like you mentioned, with these cool guys. They were just hanging around, doing nothing, and I was there. But he slowly changed me. He got me extra lessons that he paid for out of his own pocket because my family couldn't afford it. And I was like, man, this guy, he's just a teacher. He's not even related to me, and he's willing to do that. And then I started to turn around, and I had to leave this group of people behind, these friends. I mean, at the time, even now when I look back, if I put myself back in that situation, they were friends to me, but they were not the right group of friends that I should have been with at that time.
What was your dream back then?
Same. I wanted to be an astronaut, but I didn't do anything about it. As a kid, I just said it,
Okay. So you can't be whatever you want. You also had to have a path to get there.
Exactly.
You started getting on that path after 13?
After, let's say, 15 onwards, after I was 15. So 13, all the way until I was 14, I didn't get on the path. I just had an idea of what I want to do, but I didn't get on the path to do it. Yeah.
And then how are you after that?
Completely changed. Like, my grades improved tremendously, and I could see that my group of friends have to change as well. That's why, they say it is difficult. If you're from a certain school, the kind of people that you meet will be of certain background, socio-economic background, or from a particular neighborhood. I'm from a neighborhood that all of us are poor, pretty much. Nobody had a good job, even their parents. If the parents had a good job, they wouldn't be living there in the first place. So everyone was in that situation, So I tried to fit in with them, but that wasn't it wasn't good for me. It wouldn't have been my way out. So the question is, should you fit in or should you find somewhere you fit in? It really depends on where you are, what you're talking about, where you're from, I think.
And so later in high school, do you think you became more of yourself and you expressed yourself more, or did you just find a different group to fit in that would put you on a better path?
I think it often happens organically, right? Like, if you are more true to yourself, eventually the people who are on the same wavelength as you, or who like agrees with, not agree, like who thinks the same as you will gravitate towards each other, I think. Then you guys find a group that fit in eventually.
And so did you pretend to be someone else at all in high school, or did you just actually find where you fit in?
I think, yeah, so before I blossomed, right, I think, before the 15, on some level, I think I was pretending to be a cool guy and like a naughty bad boy, because I wanted to be like them. And just, it wasn't right for me, it wasn't who I am. So once I know what I wanted, I left these people behind, so I no longer try to fit in with them. I found a different group of people to fit in with.
I'm still smiling because you said you used to be a bad, naughty boy, but then you blossomed.
That's what happened.
Blossomed. Shedded that naughty boy, became a good student.
Oh, I didn't mean for it to sound as bad as it did.
I'm just imagining like you as the caterpillar in Bug's life at the very end. He comes out of his cocoon and he has beautiful wings.
Yeah. So yeah, back to your question. I think if it really depends on who you are in the first place, right? Like what you want. If you try to suppress that and try to fit in somewhere else, it will be uncomfortable. It might not be beneficial for you. But sometimes you might have to be in an uncomfortable situation, like put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, and then you can progress to something better. Let's say you grew up from the slums, for in my situation, from a poor neighborhood, and you only try to fit in with this group of people. you only fit in with this group of people. You don't make any effort to try and maybe fit in somewhere else where some group of people are more serious with self-improvement or making their lives better. Then I may never have gotten out of that place.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times when people think of this situation, they are maybe thinking about a teenager trying to discover who they are, fitting in with the cool gang or fitting in with a group of people that they think they should be friends with. Then they have a lot of friction because of that. They're still discovering their identity. Most people think about that, but you have to go into a different level and think about it on a deeper level to see if should you be in an uncomfortable situation, if that will ultimately be better for you, or is fitting in holding you back. So in my situation, fitting in was holding me back, I would say, in a certain sense.
Some unsolicited advice for the listeners. Like, it's better to be yourself and just find where you fit in. It isn't possible to make everyone like you, so just don't even try. Like, it is better to have a small group of close friends than it is to have a large group of not close friends.
Yeah.
So those close friends, whether you graduate high school, you'll drift apart, graduate college, you'll drift apart, change jobs, change towns. If they aren't close, you will drift apart. So just find a handful of close friends that you could be yourself around with, and that will have a bigger and better impact on your life.
Yeah. And obviously it will hurt at first, right? I mean, nobody wants to be rejected. We are social creatures. We like to be in a community. So it will be a difficult thing to do at first, but you would, like, back to blossoming, you would thrive so much better once you find your community. And this will happen organically. Eventually, if you stay true to yourself, the people who are like you will gravitate towards you just the same way as you will gravitate towards them.
That's very true. I don't even know really how it happens besides just somehow they do gravitate towards you. All my friends in college, it's like, I really don't remember how we became friends, but we did.
Yeah, I think
we weren't in the same classes, weren't on the same teams, somehow just became friends.
Yeah, I think somehow because you are so true to yourself, you know who you are. The things you say, you are comfortable with it. You know you're not pretending. And someone who listens, they know that you are being sincere and they want to spend more time with you. And if they agree with you, because if they are not the same as you, it will be uncomfortable for them, just as it would be uncomfortable for you, and you would not be hanging out as much. So then it just naturally happens that you spend more and more time with people you're comfortable with, and the reason you're comfortable with them is because you fit in with them.
Yeah, it definitely is a little harder at first, but then it gets easier.
But there is a caveat, like I said. I am comfortable with the neighborhood kids back then. Like I wouldn't say slums, we are not from the slums, but if you are someone who is, from the ghetto, you grew up there, you're comfortable there. And if you just keep yourself there, you will never leave and your life may never improve.
Yeah.
Although there are exceptions to this, right? I mean, some of the greatest, most popular rap bands, rap groups, they stuck with each other, and they got very successful. So there are exceptions, of course. That's why
I thought.
Go ahead.
I thought you were gonna ask how I was in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask once we got to a good position, because it kept flowing and flowing. There wasn't a good point to get in there. But yeah, tell us, since you mentioned it now, tell us how it is.
So my freshman year was in Cottage Grove, Oregon, small town with 10,000 people at the time, and I had lived there from most of my life, and so I already had a group of friends that I was comfortable with. I did try and impress them and try and be cool a little bit, but I was mostly pretty true to myself. And then I switched schools in the middle of my freshman year, moved to Roseburg, Oregon, and went to a school in Winston called Douglas High School. And this town only had like 2,000 people. There was like 70 kids in my class. And I was in math and science with the sophomores and not with my peers, freshman peers. And so new school, kind of with the older kids. And so there was a little time where I did act a certain way, try and be cool, try and wear like my nice clothes, nice shoes to try and fit in. I did that for a little bit. And then I learned that the other people were also faking it. And I didn't want to have these fake friends. And so kind of towards the end of freshman year, sophomore year on, I was just myself. And some people drifted apart, but I was pretty good at hanging out with a bunch of different groups that had the same interest. And so like I'd hang out with my like jock sports friends when I wanted to do sports. And then I'd go to the computer library during lunch and hang out with the nerds, and we'd play video games because that was fun for me. And then like I'd hang out with the preppy kids sometimes when I wanted to feel cool. And then, you know, hung out with like some nerdy friends when I wanted to focus on school. And so I just found different groups of different people, and just whatever I was interested in that time, that's who I would go hang out with. So I was more true to myself, but then like, you know, I would act a little nerdier in the nerd group and in the computer lab playing games at lunch instead of playing basketball. You know, I'd be a little nerdier and talk about computers, but all of it was interesting to me, and I was true to myself. And I would just show more of one aspect versus another, but I would never try and fake anything.
Yeah, I think so. So now that you mentioned this, one thing that comes to mind is, you know, trying to fit in may not necessarily be a bad thing, because it might be through this process that you discover who you are. Like, you try to fit into maybe like a certain group, and you're like, it's uncomfortable, it's not for me. Then you, like you say, you jump from group to group, and all these experiences create who you are and make you understand yourself better. Eventually, then you will have a group that fit with you naturally. So
you just want to make sure that you don't fake it when you do go to one of those groups.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, don't fake it. You go and see if you naturally fit in. Right.
Yeah. There are times where like I've gone to a group, I was myself, and then I didn't get invited next time. And like, you know, that kind of hurts not to get invited, but it's also a good thing, because it's like they didn't want to hang out with you. So don't force it or pretend to be someone else. Go There's lots of people. Go find out where you do fit in.
Yeah. And I think it's because when you're young, it's just harder to feel the rejection, because you want people to like you, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to make something of yourself. But as you're older, once you're more comfortable with yourself, you already created a group of friends. Like even now when I meet new people, if I don't end up getting invited again, or I know that from the first time I meet them, we will never hang out again unless it's in a common setting with other people, like somebody hosted the party, I'm fine with that. I don't have to be friends with everybody. And it comes with age, this maturity.
But the younger you can do it, the easier it gets for the long term.
It is true. But what I would say is though, like, it could very easily, if people are not careful, they might just end up in a group that is not beneficial to them, from the example that I mentioned just now. And school is a very easy trap, you know. That's why going to a public school and going to a private school, or even in a public school, there are schools that are better than, some are better than the others. The environment, the people that you interact with, it has a big impact, even if you don't try and fake it. Yeah, because if you're not exposed, you may never discover.
You
know,
there are some times where, like, you know, my true self, I like to think, is like, I'm relaxed, don't care how my hair looks, I don't care what clothes I'm wearing. And so there are times where, like, I will dress down my looks and my clothes to, like, what I feel comfortable with. Like when I'm at home by myself, what do I wear? How do I act? How do I look? And I will take that into a situation where I know a lot of people might not like it, but a few do. And that's who I hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's part of discovering them, right?
Yeah. Like if they're friends at your worst or your ugliest, then they'll be friends at your best too.
Indeed, for sure.
So just show them like your worst self, your most comfortable self, and if they like it, that's good.
Yeah, like isn't what's that saying? If you can't be there for me at my worst, you do not deserve me at my best, or something like that. I don't know, along those lines.
Yeah. And that mindset also really helped me when I was looking for relationships. Like some people get all dressed up in a nice suit the first time they meet someone. And like I did that earlier on, and then I transitioned where it's like I'll just wear a t-shirt and jeans, and if they agree to a second date, well, it's like, well, only uphill from here, could only look nicer. And that's how I found my wife.
Nice. Nah, I know for a fact you were in a suit when you met your wife.
Oh, I was
at the wedding? I thought you met her at the wedding.
Well, I went over to her mom's house like a day or two before the wedding, and I was wearing, I think it might have been a rip curl, but it was like this blue shirt that I wear all the time now because she likes it. Blue shirt, jeans. I didn't even know she existed.
I think I know what blue shirt. I know that blue shirt of yours.
But I was just being comfortable, being myself, and then like I thought she was beautiful, and then I was like, well, if this is gonna work, I need to show her my true self. And if she sticks around, then it's like, all right.
Definitely. And that is also I wouldn't say a benchmark. It's a great indicator of whether a relationship is going to be successful or not, right? Because if you're always trying to be pretending to be someone that you're not, or if you are someone who do not know exactly who you are, and I know people like that, they are just hopping from a relationship to another, trying to fit into their partner's style or personality. They don't know who they truly want. There will be underlying friction that makes it, that cause disagreements and fights, and it's just not so successful for the relationship. If you're absolutely comfortable with who you are, how you present yourself to the world, the right person will be attracted to that. I mean, don't listen to me. Don't take relationship advice from me. But, you know, I'm just talking out. I don't know. I'm just inspired by what you said.
Yeah. Because it's like, yeah, you can impress a girl wearing a suit, but it's like, is that she going to be impressed when you're not in a suit? Is she still going to like you? Or do you just show her your best and she's not going to like you at your worst or your normal?
Yeah, so that's definitely true. I would say yes, definitely find a place that you fit in. Or actually, ultimately, I think the crux of the question is find out who you really are and be true to it. And one of the ways to find out who you are is to go and try all these things out, socialize with people, go to these different groups, and then eventually you build your identity or you reveal who you truly are, and then do not hide it, I would say. Let it shine to the rest of the world, because there will be people who want to be around you, you know, and they are the ones that you want.
Like, I was trying to think of an analogy, and this picture kept coming into my head. Like, imagine there's a town, and they're all full of squares, little legs, little arms, and those are all little square people. And someone comes in, and they're shaped like a circle. And so they like try and smooth their edges to try and make themselves look like a square. They might fool some people for a little bit, pretending to be something that they're not. But it's a lot easier to just show up, show yourself, and then maybe they won't like you because you're a circle and they're a square. But then that's okay. It's okay if people don't like you. Go find the other town where there are circles and you can fit in there. and express yourself and be yourself, and you don't have to try and fit into a different hole in the box.
Whoa, that's a great analogy. As you are saying that, I think there's another layer to that. Like when the circle is trying to shave themselves, their edges off to be like a circle, is losing a part of itself, and it's become smaller than he or she truly is if they were just themselves, you know. So when you lose a part of yourself, ultimately it is bad for you, right? Because you can't be who you are. You are smaller. You're not a square, and you end up being a smaller circle.
Yeah, I like to picture that. Yeah, losing a little bit of yourself each time you try and fit into a group that you don't fit in. And eventually you might lose yourself. You might eventually convince yourself that you are a square. Just a little square.
Yeah, but you see, then you are not fulfilling your fullest potential. Sure, you may fool the squares as well, but to them, you're a small square, so you're not even exactly who you could be, you know?
And like you could get away with it and fit in for a little bit, but imagine they're trying to make a wheel and they're all just squares.
Yeah.
If you were yourself, you could be in that town of circles and you'd be the perfect wheel.
Yeah. So, yeah, I understand. So, thanks for this analogy. I think that's one that we can keep and share with others.
I wish I was good at drawing and I could draw it out.
Yeah, you're better at drawing than I am.
Yeah. Maybe if the AI gets good enough, I could just explain that and it'll make a little video. That'd be cool.
Oh, I won't be surprised if it could. We can probably try that out.
Yeah. What's the time where you've pretended not to be yourself to fit in, like the most?
Oh, wow, let me think. Definitely, I think when I was younger. I think when you're younger, even though you feel uncomfortable or it doesn't come naturally to me, but I'll be like, oh, I should be with these people. They are the cool guys. I want to be cool. I want to be liked. That's very easy. Then as I grew older and I know that there are people who enjoy maybe my sense of humor or we like talking about the same things, I'm less bothered with people who do not like me. And in fact, I think it's mainly a young people problem. If you are older and if you're still suffering from this problem, then I think you haven't truly accepted yourself for who you really are. You have to accept yourself because then you don't have to pretend. And life is short, you know. With age comes maturity, and I know that I don't have much time left. I don't want to be trying to be with people who do not want to be with me and pretend so that they will who wants to spend time with me.
I think it's a huge problem in adults, and parents teach their kids to kind of not be themselves too. And to explain is like the beauty industry with how big that is, the cosmetic industry, dyeing your hair, getting Botox. That is you not being comfortable being yourself, and you're trying to fit in and altering yourself.
Yeah, that's right. So I think that the problem evolves, right? So when you are young, this problem exists because you don't know who you are. You're trying to still discover your identity, who you want to be with. But then as you grow older, okay, you know yourself more. You probably discovered your personality, but then now it becomes an self-acceptance problem that people do not accept themselves for who they really are. They think that they have to be someone else because they know who they are now, but they think that being someone else is better. Or so self-esteem issue, the lies that we are being sold that one is better than the other, that is a big problem. Self-love, these things.
Yeah. During my honeymoon, I had a thought of like, I don't want to shave my head because then I would look funny. And because I cared about what other people thought my hair looked, I had like a little debate with my ego in my head. It's like, all right, you're self-conscious. I'm going to do it because you're self-conscious. And so I shaved my head because I knew it would make me uncomfortable. And it helped me get over being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I knew that wasn't a good thought to have. Like, I shouldn't care. And so I did it. Put myself in that uncomfortable situation to get over it.
But sometimes you should care if it is someone it affects, or rather, because the person who cares is someone that you care about, like your wife may not like you being bald, and it's your honeymoon. She might want you to look suave and handsome in your honeymoon pictures.
Yeah. But you gotta be with me in the good and the bad. What if I get cancer and my hair falls out? What if I'm like one of my brothers who is bald?
I know, of course, but if you had a choice, I'm sure she would appreciate you choosing her preference.
Or just go what goes natural.
But I know what you mean. I mean, I totally understand you. Knowing you for so long, I know exactly what you would have done.
Yeah. And then I guess another kind of example that goes along with it is like, I was a little nervous about skydiving. And I was like, all right, well, I shouldn't be nervous. And so I'm going to do it to try and overcome that nervousness or being scared. So I intentionally did it. Just to make myself more comfortable with being uncomfortable, and then it just becomes comfortable.
So you see, you also, in a sense, you are trying to fit in, because like, you know what you're comfortable with, and you're trying to do the things that makes you uncomfortable. Like for me, I know I'm definitely afraid of insects, and a bug was dead. It was a dead on the ground in my home. I was scared. I know that, okay, thinking the way you think, I know that I can force myself to pick it up with a piece of tissue and flush it down the bowl and prove to myself that I cannot be scared. But I'm so comfortable with myself of knowing that I'm scared that I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. I will sweep it away with something or use a vacuum or whatever.
But wouldn't it be good to kind of force yourself into who you want to be and not just give in to your like subconscious or your fears, or like, that's why people pretend to be someone else, is like they're afraid of not fitting in. And so it's like, you got to get over those fears.
Yeah. So like also I mentioned in the beginning, you have to put yourself in you see, it's a relative thing, right? Either you're looking it from here to there, or you're looking from that side to this side. So you may think that like, I'm trying to be comfortable on this side, or I'm trying to be uncomfortable to be on that side. But the reverse is true depending on which side you're looking from, if I'm explaining it clearly enough. So in the beginning, when you're searching for a group to fit in, it may look like you are trying to fit in, but you are also trying to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to see if you can fit in.
There's a difference between like who you are and who you want to be. And sometimes you have to like look at your flaws and figure out who you want to be and how you can get there. And for me, it's the most beneficial to identify who I want to be, and then if there's any obstacles, any self-esteem issues or fears or anxiety, put myself in a situation to overcome those to get to be who I want to be.
Conversely, people can say then you're faking it. You're trying to be somebody you are not. So it has to be, but because you have already applied a certain standard, right? Like why you want to go into that situation in the first place. And if you fail the standard, for example, if I want to be in that group because I think it will make me look more handsome, or make me look hotter if I lose weight, then you will not have done it because it failed that standard of yours, that test of yours.
Okay. I think I understand a little bit of where you're coming at it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm explaining it very clearly. I might have to go back and workshop it again. But yeah, I'm trying to say that it is relative from which side you are viewing it from. And there is a test that you apply, which for you is, okay, are you doing it out of vanity? Are you doing it out of self-esteem issues? Or are you doing it out of self-improvement, right? So that if you're doing it out of self-improvement, then yes, trying to fit into something that you are uncomfortable with is better than being yourself.
Okay. So I think an example might be like if you have anxiety over public speaking, like I guess if you have anxiety, that is who you are. But if you want to be a better speaker and not get those feelings, that could be who you want to be. And you can put yourself in situations where you are doing that public speaking so you get more comfortable with it. So you're better at public speaking and more comfortable. So I don't think you're faking it. If that's who you wanted to be and you had a path to get there.
Yeah, but so that's you trying to fit into the group that is good at public speaking, but that has passed the test, like this is what you want for self-improvement. I mean, it has to be for self-improvement. It's not because you think that it's better for me if I'm better at public speaking. Like maybe people will think that I'm better if I'm better, as in people will respect me more if I'm better at public speaking, like the vanity portion, the pride portion. But conversely, on the other end, some people might be like, I'm totally comfortable with myself being afraid of public speaking. I will just take the backstage role. I can write the script for people. I prepare the presentation. I organize the event. Why do I have to force myself to do that? Is what I'm trying to say. There's just two sides to the coin, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of like a gray area. Like, are you trying to better for yourself or are you trying to actually better yourself so other people will like you more? And you got to make sure it's just for you.
Yeah, so the question of like, should you fit in or should you find some places that you should fit in? It comes back to what I was saying earlier, is what is the motivation behind it, and there should be some test for it. Like in certain situation, yes. So like you see, just now you mentioned you got to be who you are. Find these people. Don't try and fake it and fit somewhere else. But there will be situation where, for example, this example analogy that you used, I'm trying to improve myself and I want to be. Then I put myself in that group to fit myself in that group rather. So both situation could. It calls for different things. Different situation calls for different things.
Yeah. And I guess that's even true. Every day I try and become a little less ignorant so then I can be smarter. And I guess you could say it could be like to impress other people, to like impress your boss or impress people at work or impress your friends with how much you know. But for me, it's like, I really don't care if people view me as smart. Sometimes, like, there is a benefit if they view you as smart. Things do get easier. But sometimes I will say something dumb just to see how they react because I'm interested in how people react. So I don't think I try and be less ignorant to impress other people. I think I do it for me.
Yeah. So I think as with many things that we do, you have to really dig down to your motivation, your true motivation. Why are you doing something? And if it passes your own test for values or for morals or right and wrong, then yeah, do it. You know, you just don't blindly do it.
Yeah. I think it helps if you understand who you are and kind of goals of who you want to be in the future. Like someone the other day, they said, like, if you want to figure out who you want to be in life, imagine yourself on your deathbed and how do you want people to remember you? And so you kind of start at the end and look back and then find the path to get you to that end.
Yeah, that's one good way, I would say. But sometimes discovery, it's rarely a straight path, right? Life just takes you on a twists and turns. But yeah, if I want to lose weight, so I want to lose weight because I want to be healthier, or I just want to look good because that's the beauty standard that I think people apply on me. Everything is it's very perspective driven.
Yeah. So I guess another way to say it would be like if it's internal or external motivation. Like if you're doing it for you to be healthy so you can feel better, that's good. If you're doing it for an external gratification of like getting compliments or impressing other people, that's a lot harder to achieve when you're doing things for other people.
Yeah.
If you have goals for yourself to better yourself, they are a lot easier to achieve.
Yeah, but I could see how this can be a gray area as well, because if you are someone who needs people to give you compliments, then you feel better about yourself. One could argue that I'm doing this for myself. You could think you may say that I'm doing it with external motivation because I want people to think that I look good. To give me compliments and stuff. But to me, in my mind, it could be internal motivation because I want to feel good about myself. And the way I feel good about myself is when people think well of me.
Doesn't it suck that how you feel is dependent on other people instead of yourself?
I'm not saying that it is right, but I can see how many people do that. Why are people posting things on social media trying to get likes and stuff?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do it, and I don't think it's good for us.
Yeah.
You should be happy internally.
Yeah.
And your happiness only depends on you and not other people making you happy.
Yeah. But then I think now we are digressing into a topic for another day. Are we?
It's still kind of about fitting in, but yeah.
Personal satisfaction or external gratification.
Yeah, I think we could talk about that a different episode. We're already pretty far into this.
Yeah.
You got any final thoughts?
No, I think we did cover quite a bit in this episode. Different situation calls for whether put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to try and fit in, but in general, discover who you are, and then you will have people that will fit in with you, and then see if this benefits you in the long term, or you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable position to improve yourself.
Yeah. And the earlier we can learn this about ourselves, the easier it makes the rest of our lives.
Definitely.
Try and work on it early.
Yeah, because then you have more time to enjoy the fruits of this labor,
Just like investing, it's kind of compound growth. So the earlier you can do it, the more you can fit in, the more you can learn about yourself, the more friends you can make that are actually friends.
Definitely. So thanks again for talking today, Tim. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Me too. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Right,
Bye.
love you.
See ya. Bye. Love you.